Do you want to tell them where we're going?
We're going to the farm.
We're going to a farm.
Ow!
Whose farm are we going to?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
We are going to our friend's grandparents' farm.
You think?
That it's something like that.
No, not
It's,
that one.
as far as I know, it is not a functional farm though, but it's still in the family. So our friends are bringing us over so the girls can see all the equipment that was still there,
I'm bored already.
including some tractors. Stop screaming.
Bored. I'm bored.
So John's in the house, letting our friend know that we're here, and then we're gonna head out. And we're gonna go check it out.
It's disgusting.
What's disgusting?
That looks
Whoa. Look at that. What?
Which tractor do you want to sit on?
Well, we have one like that. What?
See this? This is an old John Deere 620 from, there's actually before they had letter designations. This one's around a 57.
What do you think? You guys like it?
I want my own John Deere tractor.
You want your own John Deere tractor? You have one.
All right, you want to climb up on this?
No.
Do we have it? You can sit up on the side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa, look at you.
Drive the wheel. Good. Hold the wheel.
Hold the wheel. Pretend you're driving.
Now you're gonna go on this little one.
Come on, Adams.
I'm gonna go on this little one.
See, right here, this is the brake. This is the brake. This whole flywheel is running when the engine's going, right?
That's the brake.
You didn't know?
I don't know what it kind of looks like.
A brake?
That's right, because I was lying to you, Caden. That's actually the clutch. So this flywheel spins with the engine, right? It's a whole flywheel system, and here's the clutch lever. And you actually operate the lever. And it puts that little, basically brake pad. This stops the clutch from spinning for a minute, so you can shift the gears. And then you re-engage, and boom, into the next gear.
So it's like a brake.
It's for the transmission now.
What do you think, Abby? You gonna drive one?
But this is Caden's grandpa's. This is a John Deere 620 from around the late 1950s.
You can
No, that.
Yep.
That's your kind of tractor, huh?
So this farm,
Come on.
I want my John
this farm has actually been in the family over 100 years. They call it a century farm.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know if some over there is a placard stating century farm.
Yeah, I saw that coming in.
Marvin's great grandparents, I believe it was, during the westward expansion, they come out here and they did what was called homesteading. So they came out here and they promised the government that they would build a farm and help the area grow, populate, etc. And the government gave them the land. But their end of the bargain was they had to maintain it and actually make a living, do something with it. They couldn't just take the land and say, hey, free land. No, so they had to have a farm. And so it's been in the family for years. Marvin's great-grandparents had this, and then like a brother or something like that had another piece that's about 15 miles west of here. This is on what's called a quarter section. Now you know what a section is out here in Kansas? 1 mile by 1 mile. I think you've noticed 90% of the state is broken up in 1 mile.
Yeah.
Right. That's called a section, 1 mile by 1 mile. This is a quarter section. This particular piece is a quarter mile wide along 25th Road, and then right along Granite Road, it's 1 mile long. So So 1 mile by a quarter section. The other piece that they have west of here is half mile by half mile. So it's still a quarter, but it's a square instead of a long rectangle. But this was in his family for years. His uncle actually had this piece while his parents lived out at the west piece, Marvin's family. And then his uncle made a go at this and just had trouble doing well, so his mom and dad said, hey, we'll take it over, we'll do it. And they took over this farm and were successful with it.
I'm going to that big one again.
You want to go into big one again? Hold on, let's go see what else
This
there
is
is.
one of the implement sheds.
Come
There's another implement shed just over here.
Mom, I just got mud on
Used to have a tractor in, but they don't use this anymore. Someone contract farms this. So Edna owns the land, but another farmer actually pays her for the right to farm her property.
Ah.
So this field here, they've got soy in right here.
What?
Down behind the farmhouse, in the other field, the lower field, I believe he's got soybeans in as well. So right over here is the old horse barn.
Oh.
It's kind of getting old and broken down. It's not used anymore because they don't keep horses. This isn't an active farm except for just the land. The farmer who contracts it will farm the land itself. Like I said, he's got the soy crops in. He does corn, he does wheat, he does, milo. And he'll bring his cattle to graze in the fields. But the rest of the farm isn't active anymore. So like, there was a dairy barn down here that I'm going to show you guys a little later. But this is where the horse barn was. So let's head on over to the horse barn, check that out.
Come on.
Now what we're walking through here, this whole field here, the hay that's in it is actually brome. They call it brome. I believe it's bromine, B-R-O-M-I-N-E. There's a few different hays. There's prairie grass, there's brome, there's alfalfa. So the particular hay that grows in these fields here, this is all brome. I'm not sure why they would pick one over another, different mineral content. They suck different things out of the ground. Maybe more per acre. Maybe certain things in them are better for what you're going to use them for if you're feeding cattle. I'm not quite sure about that. Each farmer's got his own thing, but we're walking through what was a brome field. It was about waist high up until about 2 weeks ago or so. And you can already see the grass has already grown back, coming back in, just naturally. So
I hate grass growing so long.
So there's the dairy barn. I'll show you the dairy barn next. But they used to have to bring the cattle in, and that's where they would milk them. The milk machines have since been taken out. It hasn't been used in years, as I said, but still.
Yeah, there's a big hay roll. Look at that.
Right here, that's one of the old horse barn.
You want to touch the hay roll? Stand in front of it. See how big it is.
That's the hay bale.
Abby, stand in front of it. Look at me. Look how big it is. Aria.
The reason that looks brown is after they cut it, they actually let the hay sit, Abby. They'll let the hay sit on the ground after they cut it for a handful of days to dry out because they don't want to bale it too wet.
They found a stick.
Because doesn't it create molds? And then the mold.
And with too much moisture, you also get like that rot.
Yeah.
And with that rot, it actually gets hot enough inside to light on fire. It's spontaneous combustion. A lot of barn fires happen that way, putting the hay up too wet.
Too wet.
So after they do this, they'll let these rolls sit here and continue to dry for a while, and then they'll put them in those rows side by side when they're sure they're dry enough.
All
That's
right.
when you see them lined up along the road.
It stinks.
It's just musty, it's old. So basically, here we are in the old horse barn. And they also kept pigs in here at one point. I'll give you the talk about that. But this was the original building, what we're seeing here. What we're in was an add-on. And so all the concrete was put here. They poured concrete off the side. So some extra could come in here, they can corral them and whatnot, clean out the waste, etc. But you can see a little bit of support. We got some solid beams. So step on through here. Come on, Caden.
Come here, guys.
Abby, Aria, come here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm scared.
Workers
fine.
used to work in here and everything.
Step up.
Right here is a.
Oh,
Yep. Right here's a cement pad where they used to have a wood stove. You can see up here just a hole that was cut through the ceiling. They've since covered it over. But this was a cement pad for the stove. They do some cooking in here. They do some bunking. Here's the hay loft. right down here in this central hay row, they would actually bring in the trailer full of hay from the west doors or the east doors, one way or the other. They come in one side, go out the other. Either way, they come through one way, park the trailer here, and one guy would be in it with a pitchfork, just throwing hay up by hand. You can either climb that or this one, John, your call. So they'd be throwing hay up by hand. And then they actually put in this so they could, they had a rope system in it and pulleys and everything. This string is just hanging here now, but there was actually good rope and pulleys so they could lift bales eventually when they started doing that. But at first, what you would do with the hay was you'd literally just cut the hay, throw it in the back of your trailer or wagon, pull that in with horses, stop them, and one guy would just pitchfork it up and another few guys up there would just be shoveling it back as far as they could get it.
Seeing if there's any holes up there.
So, if you want to give a climb up that little ladder, you can take a peek, see?
I did. I don't know how.
So this hayloft is empty now. Over time, you can see that they did do a little electrical. There's some wiring and stuff like that. This old stuff as electricity came into being, but again, 100 years ago, electricity wasn't prevalent. They'd have candles and they do a lot of work by daylight. We'll go around the other side and show you the corral area, but basically from here, this line, you can check this out. There would be 2 horses in this stall, right? Because you got a feed bucket on either side and they fill hay in the middle. The stall right behind John would hold 2 as well. So 2 horses per stall, 2 here again. See, Abby, if you can look over, there's a bucket there where they would put grain. It was just kind of built into that, and this midsection would be hay. And all the way down to this third stall, which would hold 3 horses, there's actually a 3rd grain bucket in there. These rooms are where the grain would go. So the hay was up in the loft, and these rooms, they would actually hold the grain. This is grain storage. We can
Go peek.
see in here.
Go peek. And go
Actually, I could open the other one. Kate, open that one.
Chore list.
What?
Huh?
It says a chore list.
Yep, there's a chore list right there, exactly.
And look, it's written in cursive. Abby, can you read any of this?
It is, it's all decayed.
Very good. Butcher.
So it's dirt now.
Pig. Nope. I'm not gonna read the
Get get
pig and get
1 gallon rolled
Milo.
Milo.
Milo. Yep.
Good. All right, so in here, these are the grain storage rooms. They put all the grain in there, like oats and whatever they were gonna feed. So the horses would eat grain, and you can't see really well. I didn't bring a flashlight, but if we can get a little bit of sun, maybe I can get a little. Yeah. There's just an old barn. Every farmer built their barns different. This is the way that when they started this farm, they wanted their barn built. So this is how they built it.
I don't like scary places.
It's not scary. It's just dark because there's not a lot of windows like our house.
Why?
Because there's not. So the sun can't come.
So let's
Plus,
go
it's a
around
little
the other
cloudy
side and see
outside.
the corrals from the other side.
What do you think?
What's really cool though is these old barns. You get a little sense of things that happen in nature. And I'll explain why when we come through.
See all the feathers.
Right here is a dead possum. It just died. It just kind of mummified.
Poor possum.
Interesting.
What you did walk by and none of you noticed it.
That.
Oh, I
You
know.
did step away. Oh, this.
That's
That's
a
the
backbone
spine.
right there. It's a spine.
Probably that guy.
So
Ate at him.
animals in nature will attack each other and eat and do what they have to do.
The teeth.
Yep.
Shot.
Here's a skull from. A bird. No, could be.
Probably.
Probably.
Does it smell like chloroform?
Yeah. Ew.
So yeah, here's the other side, Abby, of the.
It has a stick.
Abby, here's the other side of the what they do. You can see just since the barn hasn't been used for horses or pigs or anything in a while, they just kind of wire and stuff like that they work on. They just kind of toss it somewhere. This is kind of what people do.
See the birds?
But you can still see the.
I see
That's where they put the grain. This would be full of hay.
Look, those are bird nests right there.
Yeah,
Right here. Made out
Straight
of
up.
mud.
yeah,
Yep.
That's just flew out of here.
yep.
Yep. There's another one over there.
So this was the horse barn, but at one point they actually kept pigs in here. And so one of the reasons for the concrete was to help make it easier to clean. They could actually bring a small skid steer in here, or you could, you know, just shovel and hose. This door here, unfortunately, is broke. It, you know, needs brought back to repair. But these old barns, people just kind of let them fall apart. If you're not using them, it's kind of the question is why maintain them?
Yeah.
Unless you're running a museum, and we're not.
It's not being used. That's what.
So, but yeah, like I say, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 3. 11 horses could stay in this barn.
I lost the kid.
11 horses could stay in this barn comfortably. Sadly, again, if the farms aren't used, you know, no one maintains the buildings. Well, right there, that one with the open front that looks like it's starting to sink into the ground, that's the old chicken barn. All the roosting boxes, everything were in there, and they had a ton of chickens just in that one building. These other two held feed. This is the old milking barn. I'm going to show you something on the outside before we go in. The milk truck would actually back all the way down here and run his hose. I believe that's... Yeah. Milk truck would put his hose right through here, and it would feed to the inside. The tanks were actually underground, under this shed. Or under this
And you
milk barn.
spray bug spray.
I know, I still got
Cattle
something
would
to
all
do.
come in there, and they'd hold them all in there, because they could take a few at a time. There's more like mothballs in here. Oh, it's mothballs. But there's actually some fertilizer that they had for stuff. But the milk tank was actually right down there, so he run his hose right down into there. So, this is the room that they would clean up all the equipment after they were done milking and everything like that.
Aria,
Well, it's fine.
I know, it's fine.
Aria, it's just mothballs.
Go, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
All the equipment was taken out of here.
Keep going.
There were milking machines actually in place, and they would line up 3 cows in a row, and they'd use these straps to wrap around the cow's belly and just kind of hold it in place. And then they'd hook up the milkers, and the machine would just go and just pump the milk out of the cattle. So they'd actually come in that door through the chute and run down to the end. 1, 2, 3. Separate them, milk them, and that chute goes back into the cattle barn to the other side of it, which we're not going to bother going into. That's
I'll take you outside.
But this is where they actually did the milking. So this concrete floor, this was a dirt floor years ago before they put in the machines. This was all done by hand. Then they put in the milking machines, poured the concrete. It made it easier to sterilize and everything. Again, once they stopped operating the farm here, like I say, it's just the land is farmed. Once they stopped being an active family farm, the machines were sold off. It all came out. And of course, like every shed, it becomes storage. You just throw stuff in it if you don't have another place to put it.
Thank you, our fella.
Pretty sweet though, huh? What do you think, Abs? Is this neat?
Yeah.
Just have your room, Ken.
Go out the door.
So this building's kind of sinking into the ground, but this was the chicken shed, or the chicken hut.
The ground just gives way.
Used to line
Much
both
weight.
sides. Yeah. Probably. Funny thing about nature, it just kind of reclaims everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
I wanted
well, here's the lower field I was talking about, Jen.
to pet a horse.
Yep.
For the road.
The lower field,
But you
there's soybean in there too, quarter-mile wide.
wanted
It goes all the way down to the creek, and then on the other side of the creek, there's still more land, and that's got soy in it also. So the 3 different major fields on this farmland right now are all planted in soy. The farmer who farms this will plant corn, soy, I believe he does wheat and milo. He rotates through depending. And then he lets his cattle graze also. Especially after the corn, he lets his cattle graze on the stalks, on the remaining stalks that are cut out. This is the pump house.
Look how small this door is.
wow.
it's a door Jen size.
I'm actually almost too small for it.
Yeah, this
You're gonna
tall.
get bigger for
I know. That's an Aria size door.
But I'm only tiny enough to
This
go in
is
my
actually the
door.
pump house for the well. So. Yep.
I thought it was
It's a ramp for your car.
It is.
Okay, let's test it. You okay? There's grass everywhere. Mama, do you want to go to?
There you go.
Bugs, bugs, bugs.
I know.
They don't really give those out easily. How many farms are in a family? 100 years. Round.
What is
Anyway,
that?
they ordered
I don't know.
this whole barn. They actually basically ordered a kit. They poured the concrete themselves, and then all this stuff was delivered. All the metal, the gussets, all.
Yeah, because years ago you could order home kits
Right.
from Sears and build your own house from Sears.
They assembled it on site, so they made this for like working on equipment, working on the vehicles. So they put this I-beam in up here, put the chain fall in. Right
Daddy,
here, where the
where's your
wood
skull?
stove was to heat this whole barn.
Richie's go.
Did you see the old refrigerator?
Yes. I saw another.
Some kids are son of a dick.
Like the old welder.
Yeah.
I cannot read.
Old refrigerator. There's the ice box. The freezer was on the bottom. It was an ice box.
Not for sale.
Not for sale. And then the refrigerator part was on top.
Took the front of an Edsel.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Don't open it.
God only knows what's in it.
Oh.